Let me guess, you from the town that I love best. Talk Memphis, I wish you would. Talk Memphis, you sound so good.
If, let's say we're in a position now, because it's likely that someone's listening and they're over leveraged, maybe not in their entire portfolio,
Right.
but on a couple of properties. What's a way to rectify that or get out other than just a fire sale? I mean, anybody can just stick it on the market and get rid of it and take a loss. But I mean, trying to prevent a loss, and there might not be a magic formula for this. It might just be, hey man, you got to let that tenant pay down that note, pay down that debt, and sell it, before you take a loss, which is an exercise that is worthless and timeless.
Absolutely.
There's no benefit.
Yeah.
You get no profit. You're literally just doing a job to prevent a fire sale.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that the third, I don't know if we're segueing into that, but the third sin investors typically make of overpaying, over leveraging, and mismanaging. So mismanaging is exactly what you're talking about. If we see people being lax, being lenient, being lazy, not knowing the laws. So to your point right there, over leveraging, roll up your sleeves and manage the property well. Do what it takes to get it done. And a lot of people don't do that because they take their eye off the ball. It's more work than they thought. Whether they're self-managing or using a third-party manager, it takes effort. When you're dealing directly with residents of homes or tenants of properties, it can be difficult to enforce the policies and the rules. So you get a little lax, you get a little lenient, you let things slide.
In other words, you're saying be a professional.
You have to be a professional. You have to treat property management as a job. You can't treat it as a hobby. You can't treat it as something to do on nights and weekends. I mean, it's got to be a full-time gig. Even if you're working full-time and self-managing, it's got to be something. You're doing it before work. You're doing it on your lunch break. You're doing it right after work. It's a commitment to manage or to have. It's not, real estate investing is not as passive as the turnkey folks make it seem.
Really?
This is not turnkey bash, but it is. It's a hands-on, it's a contact sport, so to speak.
If you're not, I'll say this, if you have multiple properties and you're not, and this is no knock on us or anybody, but if you're not managing the manager, then I don't think you're doing the right thing.
Right.
Now, I don't mean every day and every 5 minutes you're looking, but if you're not managing the manager in a way that you're watching every month and keeping a real close eye at least once or twice a month, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself. Yeah. I think so.
That's part of managing. I mean, in real estate investing, there, kind of the three tenants or the three components are deals. Got to have deals. Yep. Got to have financing, and you got to have management.
That's right.
And so management, it's a leg of the three legs. It's one of the legs of the stool. So two-legged stool.
Say that again.
Deals, financing, and management.
You gotta
three
have
legs of a stool.
Yeah.
So you got to have deals if you're going to buy houses or invest in property. You got to have financing. If you got deep pockets, great. If not, you're using funding from a bank or somehow. And third is management. You got to somebody's got to manage that asset.
If you think that you're going to buy 25 turnkey properties or even properties that have been rehabbed and they're done and they're not really called turnkey, and you're just going to sit back and collect a check every month, I think you're sadly mistaken.
Right. Professional managers can get in there. But what we saw, it's not as prevalent today. It is not as common. Don't see it as much, thankfully. But 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even more, there were professional managers who were third-party managing for investors, but they were ripping people off. They were not sending rent. They were taking the rent and pocketing it. They were keeping security deposits. They weren't.
We've just seen
on and on and on. Yeah, that happens. It still happens. It's not as common because things have gotten better. There's more transparency in the industry. There's more professionalism. There's more collaboration and talking and vetting,
which I think is great,
and verifying of things. But in the whole industry has improved. But I have countless examples of people who have called us and said, "Hey, can you help me? My previous property manager, my current property manager, who has not paid me rent in a year. I can't get in touch with them. I haven't heard from him." What do I do?
If you're wondering, what's happening to you, and this might be some of it. I mean, you could be with a bad manager. You could be just not watching closely enough to your assets. But I do think, and I'll say this again, if you really think that you can go buy any investment and sit there that's real estate related and do nothing but collect the check every month or quarter or whatever you're going to collect, I think you're mistaken. I just think you're going to have to dive into this some. Not a ton, depending on what product you buy. But if you're not in my opinion, if you're not managing the manager a little bit, I don't think you're doing it right. Now, some people might have a different opinion than me that, a turnkey provider would say, well, we get, they should trust us and we should, and that's fine. And some of them might work out. I understand that. But at the same time, I think if you're not managing I love saying that, managing the manager.
At a minimum, you need to create what I would say two things. You need to have some type of scorecard, some type of metric, some type of benchmark that you're looking for.
This is great.
Some way to measure, and then you need to do it on at some type of recurring time frame, whether it's every week, every day, every week, every month, every quarter, every year.
But set it up.
And so you figure out what you need to measure, and figure out how often you need to measure it. And then just do it like either a red or green. Like if my benchmark is green, I don't have anything to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
If it's red, then it's not meeting the expectation. Then there's need for more involvement. So it can be semi-passive, but in the sense of everything's green, everything's on go. It's like getting on a scale every morning before you get in the shower.
Yeah.
Okay, I weigh what I want to weigh. No big deal.
Same time every day.
Just do it. It takes 2 seconds, and you only start to worry if you start hitting or if you get over. Anyway.
Oh, I need to eat a salad today. Well, I need to pay attention to my assets.
I need
today.
to run a little farther, lift a little more, do whatever. So it's the same with your investments. Just some way to track them and to hold your management accountable, whether that's your personal management or third-party management.
Yeah.
I swear I can't get enough listening to